everyone. God bless you. Thank you for joining me in another video. In this topic, we're going to discuss improving your thought life. Now, before we get into this topic, subscribe, also share, like, and drop a comment. I really do appreciate everybody's support. Now, let's get into this topic of improving your thought life. Now, there is a scripture in the book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 7. And this is part of the scripture, but it's very, very important. One of my favorites. And basically it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Many of you have heard this scripture before, probably many times. And basically what King Solomon is saying in his proverb is that, you begin to become what you think about. And also there's a universal law in that the more you think on a thing, whether it's good or bad, you will begin to manifest that thing. So if you want to grow in life, if you're dedicated to growth, if you're dedicated to doing better, or if you want to do better, if you want to grow as a person, you must be sure to improve the way you think. So I read a study not too long ago, 2020 study. Basically, it said that the average person thinks of over 6,000 thoughts per day. That is a lot of thinking, and most of the thinking and most of what people are thinking is things in the past. So we kind of like have to shift that paradigm. You kind of like have to create a new mindset if you want to level up, if you want to do better, and it begins with what you think. Because before you do a thing, before you do a task, before you achieve a goal, before any of that takes place in a physical realm, it begins as a thought. So if your thinking isn't right, if you are having trouble focusing on things, if you're having trouble, you're experiencing brain fog, that could be a dietary issue or maybe some other stuff. We have to take care of our brains, our minds, and think about what we're thinking, because when we improve our thought life, other areas of our life, it just kickstarts everything else. It just improves everything else. It just takes you to the next level if you get your mind right, if you monitor what you're thinking, or if you think about what you're thinking. So I want to share some strategies with you in this video that has been helpful to me. Hopefully it will be a blessing to you. And the first thing is to be intentional. So at some point in the day, regardless of when it is, for me, I prefer the beginning of the day. For others, it may be the end of the day, and maybe for others, it may be in the middle, taking a pause, taking a break. I like to get ahead of the day, so I like to do all this stuff before, everything and the cares and the worries of the world hits me. So I like to kind of like clear my mind. I like to connect with God, and I also like to do the intentional work of thinking positively, thinking about what could go right in a day. I actually do this exercise on a daily basis, or most days. Some days I might skip, but for most days I try to do this exercise because it is setting an intention. And I know that although things may come my way that I might not like throughout the day, I have put this positivity out there, and I've put that into the atmosphere. And that is the more we think about positive things, and if you start your day off thinking about positive things, or if you take a break or a pause at some point during the day and you're intentional about what you're thinking, or even if you're in a situation where you're experiencing a lot of negative thoughts, more negative thoughts than usual, that is the time to take the pause, take the break, and be like, okay, we don't need to be, you talk to yourself, I don't need to be thinking this way. It's beginning to impact me emotionally, psychologically. Let me take a pause and think about something more pleasant. So you can interrupt those thoughts, those negative patterns, those negative thoughts, and replace it with a positive thought. So I like to flood my brain with enough, many positive thoughts as possible in the morning. The positive thought could just be about something that I want to achieve. The positive thought could be just about how great God is. The positive thought could be about the things that I'm grateful for. So I like to just flood my brain and be intentional about positivity and filling my mind with good and positive and healthy thoughts. So be intentional. You got to do the work, especially if you find yourself thinking more negatively than usual. do the work. The next strategy is empty the trash. So there is a lot of things that we accumulate, spiritually, emotionally, the intangible stuff that comes our way, the energy that comes our way. And we're like receptors for this stuff. We collect it and we don't even know that we're collecting it. You sit out through the day and you may hear bad news after bad news. You turn on the news, the media, you're hearing bad news. Somebody calls you, sends you a text and tell you this and that and the other's going on. So there's not a lot of positive things that's being elevated in the world right now. Of course, there are positive things happening, but it's just not what's being reported. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. So what it does is that we get this accumulation of this energy. We get an accumulation of things spiritually that will attach itself to us. So we have to, on a daily basis or even weekly basis, empty out the trash. Especially when you're starting to feel not good emotionally or mentally, when you're struggling to stay focused. Okay, you have to think about what have I been consuming, which is my next strategy. So empty out the trash. So there has to be a time where part of my emptying out the trash protocol is, within my morning routine. So I like to think, forget about yesterday and the cares of yesterday and what happened yesterday and focus on the new day. And that's why the meditation, the prayer, thinking on positive thoughts, flooding my brain with positive thoughts, that's part of the emptying of the trash with me. So you have to do the spiritual work, do those exercises. So empty out the trash and just know that on a daily basis, we are being bombarded with negativity, negative energy, negative news, bad things that are happening in the world. And it clings. That stuff clings. So, another way of emptying the trash is to, do something to help someone, be positive, be helpful, do something that you enjoy. So those are part of emptying out the trash too, along with your spiritual protocol, whatever that is. If you don't have one, you need to develop one. The next strategy that I have is to feed your brain. So if you're not feeding yourself good things, it's not going to basically foster or support positive thinking or improve thinking. So you have to make sure that you feed your brain and that you are thinking new and interesting thoughts and that you're looking at new ideas, interesting ideas, and that you're learning something new. That's part of feeding your brain. Reading books, listening to podcasts, getting new information, broadening your world, getting information on the things that will lead you closer to your goals. Like I said about the emptying of trash earlier, sometimes we consume a lot of trash, and we also have to think about the things that are not particularly edifying that we're consuming on a daily basis, whether it's on TV, on our phones, dealing with certain people that we can avoid. So, these things do have an impact, and this is why it's important that we need to feed our brains and make sure that we're putting things into our mind that's edifying and that will help us to grow. So one of the main things to do is to read. One of the main things to do is to learn something new. One of the main things to do, also feeding the brain, making healthy connections with people. So that good interaction, social interactions, that feeds the brain too. So feeding the brain, keeping your body healthy, like your physical brain, the things, eating well, exercising, that all helps your brain. And if you help your brain, you help your mind, you help your mind, you help the way that you think. Okay, so the next thing is what will help to improve your thought life is to, sometimes we just got to let things go. That creates baggage when we hold on to things in the past, when we hold on to the hurt, to the pain, to the offenses that people have done. When we hold on to the past, when we focus on things that we don't have any control over, we got to let it go. Focus on what you can control, right? Don't be stuck in the past. you got to let those things go, especially if it's not what you're thinking about and what you're focusing on a daily basis. If it's not taking you anywhere, are you growing by thinking about this all day? Is it helping you in any way? So you have to ask yourself those questions. And for me, as soon as the answer to it is no, I replace it with a new thought. So you can do that. And also, along with letting things go, you got to forgive. The forgiveness is really for you and not the offender. Forgiveness is that you're not poisoning your own soul because of what somebody did to you. And they don't even have to deserve the forgiveness. Some people don't deserve to be forgiven, but you forgive them so you can set your soul free. It doesn't mean that they get a pass for what they did. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be punished and that there shouldn't be any consequences. But it's not up to you exactly to exact revenge. But it's in our best interest if we forgive people. And it will help us to move on and to change our thinking about situations and about our outlook on life. You know, a lot of people, their minds are messed up because they haven't forgiven people and they just haven't let things go. They're stuck in the past and they can't do any better in life because, and there's no improvement mentally because they have not let things go. So you don't want to have any baggage holding you down, dragging down any weights in your spirit. You want to be light. You want to be receiving, you want to be growing, and you got to let things go. So just let it go. If it's not benefiting you, do yourself a favor and just let it go. And last but not sure, last thing I want to bring up is be hopeful. Be hopeful. It's hard to stay hopeful because hope helps your brain. Hope helps to improve your thought life, and hope will lead you to more positive thinking. So, we could look around in the world and see so many things going wrong and so many things, out of order, so many things, so many tragedies happening, just so much chaos and confusion and so much hatred out in the world. We can look at those things and let it get us down. We can look at those things and internalize it, but that is not going to give us, that's not going to help us in the long run. So that's why we need hope. We need to have something to look forward to. We need to, think in our mind that, there are things going wrong, but there's some things that are going to improve. And you need to focus on that and have hope in your life that your circumstances will improve. Have hope in your life that maybe some things in the world will improve. Everything is not all bad all the time. That might be what the media and the news may be portraying, but that's not, 100% accurate. So focus on the positive things and just be hopeful for the future. And when we are hopeful for the future, it will improve the way we think. And when the way we think improves, it will improve our lives. That's all that I wanted to share with you in this video. Thank you so much for joining me. Also, check out my other videos. I will see you in the next one. Take care and God bless.